ChatGPT. Relate ACIM to the movie Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky through the lens of A Course in Miracles. Vanilla Sky is one of the clearest cinematic illustrations of a central teaching in A Course in Miracles. The world we experience is a projection of the mind. The film begins with David living what appears to be a successful and desirable life. Yet beneath the surface lies fear, guilt, attachment, and a fragile self-concept. As the story unfolds, reality becomes increasingly unstable. Dreams blend with waking experiences. Memory becomes unreliable. Identity becomes uncertain. This mirrors the teaching of ACIM that perception is not objective. The world we see reflects the contents of the mind. David desperately tries to determine what is real, what happened, who can be trusted, who am I? These are the very questions that arise when the ego's version of reality begins to crack. The film repeatedly confronts David with the collapse of the self-image he has carefully constructed. In ACIM, the ego is fundamentally a self-concept, a collection of stories, memories, preferences, achievements, wounds, and identities. The ego spends tremendous energy protecting this image because it believes the image is itself. David's suffering intensifies whenever he attempts to preserve that image. His healing begins only when he becomes willing to question it. A recurring theme throughout the movie is control. David wants life to conform to his expectations. He wants pleasure without loss, love without vulnerability, success without uncertainty. The ego seeks exactly this kind of control. Yet the more tightly David grasps his preferred reality, the more fragmented his experience becomes. ACIM teaches that peace is not found by controlling the dream, but by recognizing it as a dream. One of the most powerful symbols in the film is lucid dreaming. Toward the end, David learns that much of what he has been experiencing is occurring within a dream state generated by the mind. This closely parallels ACIM's description of the world as a dream of separation. The Course does not teach that the world is meaningless in a nihilistic sense. Rather, it teaches that what we perceive is filtered through mistaken beliefs. Awakening comes not from perfecting the dream, but from recognizing its nature. The elevator scene near the end of the film can be viewed as a symbol of spiritual awakening. David is given a choice: continue living within a familiar illusion, or release what he thinks he knows and step into the unknown. This is the same choice presented throughout AM. The ego says, stay with what is familiar. The Holy Spirit says, trust what is true. The leap of faith David ultimately takes symbolizes the willingness to let go of a false identity, even without guarantees about what comes next. In ACIM, salvation requires this same willingness, not certainty, not perfect understanding, but willingness. Another profound theme is forgiveness. David's world becomes increasingly distorted by guilt, fear, regret, and self-judgment. The external confusion reflects an internal conflict. It teaches that guilt is the hidden engine behind the dream of separation. When guilt is believed, perception becomes distorted. When guilt is released, vision is restored. The deepest message of Vanilla Sky through the lens of ACIM is that awakening is not about repairing the dream self. It is about recognizing that the dream self was never your true identity. Beneath every shifting image, every changing circumstance, every fantasy and nightmare remains the one thing the film continually points toward: the awareness that is watching. The dream may change, the characters may change, the story may change, but what you truly are remains untouched. And awakening begins the moment you become willing to choose truth over the dream, no matter how beautiful the dream may appear.